Television Live. My name is Jeff Pedowitz, your host, President and CEO of the Pedowitz Group. Today on CMO Insights, I'm pleased to be speaking with Leo Tucker, who is the Senior Vice President of Global Marketing for PGI, and we are at PGI headquarters here in Elmira, Georgia. Leo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Glad to be here, and I appreciate you having me.
And it was a thrill catching up for the last few minutes. I think we realized we had a lot in common. And so I'm just really interested in today's day and age. PGI has gone through a lot of different kinds of growth. I'm really curious about PGI's approach to customer engagement across the whole life cycle. What are you doing not only at the top of the funnel, but what do you do with customers throughout the life cycle?
Okay, well, one of the things that's an obvious trap is sitting in the ivory tower and trying to make all of the right decisions ourselves. PGI has made a real concerted effort to listen to our customers, much more than we ever have, and that starts at the very beginning of the cycle. So we really try to talk to our customers and, more importantly, listen to our customers through three primary ways. We do lots and lots of interviews. So we survey every single win and every single loss that we have, and then from that, about 10% agree to speak with us. And so we will get on and make sure that we're understanding what we do well, what we don't do well, what they like about our products, our services, how we approach them, the sales cycle, all of those things on literally a daily basis. We also have an advisory council, which is fantastic. It's a chance for us to sit for a full day with our customers. And as opposed to a lot of advisory councils, which are all about product, ours is all about that customer, so that we can understand what challenges are they facing, where are they getting their information, what subtle shifts may have occurred in their marketplace that enables us to then approach them in a better way. And then finally, we do paid research. So we'll do a voice of the customer study practically every year using different vendors. So between our conversations with the customer, as well as what we learn through surveys and third parties, we feel like we have an excellent view of what they like about PGI, what they love about PGI, and what we might change.
And so how much are those insights informing your marketing strategies on an annualized basis?
It's a tremendous amount that informs our marketing strategy. At the end of the day, if you're not able to reach the right target, if you don't know who the right target actually is, right, and if you're not speaking language which has evolved with what their needs are, what you're selling them doesn't matter. Right? So where we really spend a lot of time is making sure that we have our messaging and positioning right, and that we're reaching them appropriately today, as opposed to what we may have said 6 months ago, because it does change.
So speaking of change, what do you think's changed the most for marketing in the last few years, and what do you think's going to be the big change coming up?
That's a great question. This is probably one that you've heard before. The use of technology and the ability to actually measure what we do is something that's exponentially different than what it was 5 years ago. So the ability, for instance, through Visible to have great attribution of exactly what content, what digital presence, what is it that people have touched, or where is it that we have touched people, I should say, is way beyond what it was 5 years ago. So we measure everything that we do, whether it's the classic open rate sign email or website traffic, all of those things we have, just like everybody does today. But now we take it down to exactly which piece of collateral did they look at, exactly what webinar did they attend, how many sales interactions did they have, did an LDR, a lead development rep, call that person. We know every single touch, and then we allocate credit for all of the revenue that comes in by every single contact point, so that we know it's really working and driving the business. So I think that's the biggest change from 5 years ago, which was, we had certainly had some metrics and some of the basics that I mentioned at the beginning, but we didn't track it to the extent that we do now. 5 years from now or 3 years from now, what's it going to be? I would have to say a more personalized experience. We're starting to dabble in how do we make every single unique visitor feel special. And a lot of that's done digitally. Can't go through all of the specifics at this point because we're just starting to really dip our toe in the water. But I think we'll see a return to individualized marketing, even through mass channels.
So through all those channels, we're starting to hear a lot more about artificial intelligence What role do you think that's going to play in marketing and driving that personal experience?
Well, that gets back a little bit to actually the PGI product set. So let me answer it that way. Within the context of what we do, which is collaboration, audio, web, and video conferencing, you know, artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize over the next several years how that's done. So for instance, how do we anticipate what somebody might need as an outcome of the meeting? Right? What materials are going to need to be sent out as the outcome of a meeting? So things like that I think are going to revolutionize collaboration. So applying that to marketing, if you think about what you and I do on a daily basis, Jeff, so much of it is about talking to our colleagues, talking to our customers, as we were speaking about, making sure that we're driving the organization the way that we want to by communicating with them. So I would tell you that artificial intelligence is going to enable better collaboration, which will in turn enable better marketing.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about talent. So maybe as you've been managing global organizations for a while now, what's changing for you? What type of people are you looking for in 2017? How are you structuring your teams and how are you getting the most out of your talent?
I think the thing that doesn't change is there's always a market for fantastic people. So I couldn't be more blessed at PGI. I have an absolutely unbelievable team. And I think the key to that team is being able to offer people opportunity and cutting edge thinking, cutting edge technologies, cutting edge marketing processes. So whether it's digital, whether it's account-based marketing, you know, the buzzword of the last couple of years, whether it's artificial intelligence as that improves, being able to offer talented people challenges is something that we always are looking to do at PGI and within the marketing group at PGI. I'm sorry, there was more to your question. Let me try to address that as well.
How are you structuring teams, given that they do need to be more technically astute, they need to be more digitally aware, they need to be more accountable for financial types of things? Are you changing how you're staffing and structuring your organization?
Well, I think probably it's less of an org change and more of an improved interaction between the teams.
Okay.
So we still, at this point, organize in a couple of ways. We have different channel groups. So we have a very strong partner channel here at PGI. So we have a team that works on the partner channel, and then we have a direct group. And within that, we have all of the classic marketing functions, Marcom, product management, lead generation, all the things you'd expect. One thing that we do a little bit differently here is we own all sales enablement, which I think is fantastic. Marketing has to extend to enabling the salesperson to execute on the marketing or to take advantage of the marketing.
How do you define sales enablement?
It is all the assets, all of the training in our case. So not only product training, but also sales process training, which enables us to make sure that we build into those processes all of the marketing activities that we're doing to drive lead and follow up and so forth. So to get back to kind of the core of your question, the interaction is hugely important. Digital 4 years ago lived by itself in its own place, and yeah, it didn't touch some of the other parts. Digital infuses absolutely everything that we do today. So I would say that's the biggest change. We haven't changed our organization beyond that.
Okay. So just in terms of how marketing is viewed, are you finding that you're expecting to run it more like a business than, say, 5 or 10 years ago?
Without question. Without question. So every single month, I'm reporting up to our executive management team and our board of directors exactly how we've done from a return on marketing investment perspective. It's less about website hits and open rates and some of those things that we talked about earlier, and it's all about what's our closed won revenue and how much did I have to spend in order to drive that revenue. And there's still some intangible pieces that, as you can imagine, I fight and advocate for because they're important and aren't always measurable.
Sure.
But I'm treated the same way as the owner of a sales channel.
So you're being held accountable for a number, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What about your team? Same thing?
I roll it down to my direct reports. So it depends on what they're working on. The head of the partner channel, for instance, from a marketing perspective, would have her number tied to the partner channel revenue. Same with direct. But I absolutely roll it down, even if there's not necessarily a direct correlation, because we all contribute to the success of the company from a revenue perspective.
That's awesome. So what would you say your biggest challenge is?
Biggest challenge, I think, retaining good people. Whether that's actually the biggest challenge or the biggest worry, I guess we could quibble about. I've been very fortunate here in that we've retained the vast majority of our good people, but that is what keeps me up at night. The thought of some of my best people walking out the door. Beyond that, in terms of a true challenge in managing the day-to-day business, it's probably the complexity of the business and competing priorities. PGI has 6 to 8 key products. We've acquired 4 companies in the last 2 years. We have a robust channel. We operate across all continents. And so one of the things that we always have to balance is I can't do everything for everyone on the budget that I have. How do I prioritize? That's the other challenge.
Let's talk a little bit about your collaboration with sales. What's that relationship look like? And
It's fantastic, but it's taken work. It's taken work.
do you have shared goals, shared planning?
I'm on the exact same revenue goal that the sales team is. And then what we do is we commit to a certain percentage of revenue that we're going to contribute from marketing source leads. So very, very common. But in addition to that marketing component, I'm actually on their revenue number. So we've got consistency in terms of how we're measured. And that is one of the things that causes us to work very, very well together. But look, it's all about establishing relationships, right? And we begin that by trying to give first and ask for something second. And I find that if they know that you're going in with the approach of we're going to give to you, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you for something too, because we both need to be, responsible stewards of the relationship, I find that works very well.
That's healthy. Yeah. So from a process standpoint, as you said, you've acquired a lot of companies, 4 companies. But what are some of the things that you're doing in marketing from a high-level process standpoint to scale?
It begins with a couple of things. One is global organization. So historically, we've been structured by region as opposed to being global. And as a result of that, we ended up having much more duplication of effort and work than what we needed. So of course you still need some local flavor in anything that you're doing, but to be able to leverage particularly centralized functions like competitive reviews, as an example, the win-loss analysis to which I referred, to do those things globally really allows us to free up people to do other things and to scale the marketing business. And then the second is through technology, right? So organization and technology. So we're right in the process right now of consolidating marketing automation platforms, because with all of those acquisitions, as you would expect, came every marketing automation platform under the sun.
Yeah.
So by consolidating those, not only do we save on technology, we save on skill sets that we have to maintain, and it allows me to run all base marketing, for instance, out of EMEA or North America, wherever I choose to do that.
So it sounds kind of like center of excellence approach you're taking globally.
It is. It's kind of a hybrid. There's a center of excellence approach for the shared services within a local approach to the actual last mile to touch the customers.
Okay. So what's the next big thing coming in marketing that we should be thinking about?
The next big thing, that's a great question. Don't have an answer for the next big thing, because for me it always comes back to what we spoke about at the beginning of the interview. If you follow your customers and listen closely to what they're doing, they're going to lead you to the next big thing, as opposed to sitting in my ivory tower hoping I'm smart enough to figure out what it is. So I've got a colleague who said, I'm proud to say we've never had an original idea for our product, because it means we're listening to our customer, and we try to treat marketing the same way.
It's a very healthy attitude. So you're driving a lot of transformation. So in closing, what advice would you give to your fellow executive who's starting their transformation for their teams?
Start with the right people. Like I said, I've got a fantastic team, and so starting and not skimping on the people that you hire has to be the starting point. And then beyond that, align to the goals of the business, and then prioritize. I think the biggest, as we mentioned, the biggest challenge or trap is trying to do too much and trying to please everybody. So understanding what the business wants you to do, prioritizing around that gives you a chance at success.
Great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's all the time that we have today. But I want to thank you again, Leo, for being on the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.